If a man ever tells you he wants you to be more in your feminine energy, this is giving you a huge amount of information right off the bat that's really important to pay attention to. So, first of all, a lot of times women are trying to be more in their feminine energy because obviously we've been over masculinized, right? Having to keep up in work situations, and then also that just naturally kind of dulls our innate femininity, but also because our protective nature of our own inner masculine is really heightened. Nobody talks about this. So people are saying, oh, I want to be less masculine, like as women. I want to be more in my feminine. And then men are telling women, I wish you'd be more in your feminine energy. But your inner masculine, because you have an inner masculine and inner feminine, and your inner masculine is like, I do not feel safe passing off the torches to this person. I don't feel safe letting you just open into your femininity with this person because he doesn't seem qualified to hold the masculine pole for you. Nobody's talking about this. So a lot of times we're like, I want to be more feminine, but you're dating someone or you're engaging with someone who's not creating a safe space for you, who isn't consistent, maybe who isn't loyal or trustworthy or reliable, or just someone who's like fleeting. They come and they go and they come and they go, or they just ghost you or like whatever. That isn't a safe space for you to open into your feminine. This is why I have such a problem with like 95% of feminine teachings, because they're teaching women to just soften and open up. Stop being so much in your masculine. So many traits that are called masculine are a part of the feminine spectrum, and they're being demonized. And because they're being demonized, which is very convenient to the patriarchy, and this is something I'm going to talk about in a minute. Because they're being demonized, women are giving up this safety and protective mechanism that is inherent in our way of being, and then walking into abuse situations, or walking into situations that might not be called abusive, but where they're just left like, if you hung something out of the car on like a kite, or I don't know, who has a kite? Like if you put something out of the car window and you're driving super fast, like it's going to get tattered, right? You're not in a space that's safe for you to open up. And so if a man tells you, I want you to be more in your feminine energy, that gives you information already that you don't think that he's safe enough to open to, or that you might have trust issues with everyone. But I think in just like a much bigger case, it's that you don't feel safe with that person to open. And I'm going to tell you one of the most potent, that was the chair. I'm going to tell you one of the most potent statements I've ever heard that will tell you immediately if you're dating someone or with someone that you should stay with. And it's this: would you blindly follow him into war? Meaning, would you let him guide you if everything was at war and you had to trust him? Would you let him guide you and you have a blindfold on? You can't control any of it. That will tell you immediately if you trust someone's guidance and leadership. And if you don't trust your man's leadership, I don't think you should be with them. Especially if you've been with them for a long period of time, because they've shown you consistently that they've shown you that it's safer for you to rely on your own guidance and your own leadership, meaning that you can't really drop into your feminine as much as you actually want to, because you always have to be the one running the show. You always have to be in your, what I call the initiator archetype. You always have to be in your empress. You always have to be in your leader, your warrior. You can't drop into that open, receptive feminine because you have to run the show. And if you're the one doing that in your relationship, like, you're not going to be able to feel safe enough with that person to let them lead you. And it's like, is that not what you want? And some people might not want that, and that's fine. But I think a lot of women want that. A lot of women want to feel like their partner can guide them and they can trust them. But unfortunately, there's a lot of like weaponized incompetence happening. And there's a lot of just like weak male behavior that's going on that is putting women in a position where it's like, I don't trust you enough to just like let go of all of my guards and like trust you to take care of me. Because in a lot of cases, look at like situationships, for example, there's like no safety whatsoever. We're only supposed to really drop, and I shouldn't say supposed to, but like, it's only safe for us to drop into our feminine energy when you are with someone who is safe. So if you don't feel safe with a man, you're not going to be able to really hold your feminine frequency very much with them in terms of the typical, oh, open and soft and graceful and receptive and magnetic, you know? So if you want to be in that energy, you have to be with someone that makes you feel safe and that you legit trust, and our mind cannot trick us. Our mind can't be like, our body will know. Your inner masculine wants to protect you and take care of you so much. So we're saying, I want to be less masculine. And he's like, I'm straight up protecting you. Like, if you drop my protection for you, like, this man is going to run all over you. So we need to really look at, when we're saying the phrase, I used to say this all the time, I want to be more in my feminine. And there's some element of truth to that because, like I said before, most women are over masculinized because we've had to learn how to do everything ourselves, because frankly, we've been surrounded by a bunch of men who aren't in their warrior, who are not in their leader. They're in their, I'm the prize and please serve me attitude, which is backwards of sort of the blueprint of the masculine. So when we're talking about feminine energy, we need to have a full spectrum approach, which is why I call my initiatory experience full spectrum feminine, because we're only learning about the feminine aspects that are patriarchal, that benefit the weak masculine. And yes, they're beautiful. They're not, these aspects of femininity are not bad by any means. But when we're only labeling feminine energy as, the lover, as this like, as sort of like, it's just maiden energy. A lot of times maiden energy is just cast as the only feminine quality when she's like playful and curious and jovial and innocent. And those are beautiful qualities. But if you stay in that, you're also going to get trampled over, right? We have to understand the full spectrum of what I call the ancient feminine, because the feminine that we're being taught is patriarchal feminine psychology. And a few months ago, I was like, what is all of this called? Because I've been developing this modality. I've been studying about this. I've been most of this information is channeled. And I was like, oh, this is matriarchal feminine psychology, because I have pulled out the patriarchal strings from it. So when we work with this frequency, when we work with the full spectrum feminine, we're identifying where the patriarchal constructs that uphold a lot of our programming and our way of being, we see where those are limited and where we can expand them with a more matriarchal view of what femininity is. And it just like enhances your world so much, where then you don't have to be in this more like hardened masculine state. You know how to flow between the full spectrum of the different aspects of femininity, so that when you can go into your lover, when you can go into your high seductress, when you can go into your liberator, when you can go into your weaver, when it's appropriate for you to do all those, so you're able to flow through them. And that puts you in a great state of protection, where you're not having to deal with these sorts of dudes who are saying, I wish you were more in your feminine. And the thing is that if a man tells you that, it basically means he's not providing a safe masculine container for you. So that's something that you can sit with. And of course, I've had men say this to me before, and I've also said myself, I want to be in my feminine more. And if that's the case, you need to look at, how is your own inner masculine protecting you or not protecting you? Because it might also be an aspect where you have to develop more of the masculine traits on the feminine spectrum. So you can see that there's a lot to talk about within this construct. And this is something I teach in a year-long initiation called Full Spectrum Feminine. We start January 1st. This is something I've run for the last year, and it is so insanely powerful. I've watched women transform their love lives, transform their radiance, transform their businesses. It's incredibly beautiful. Like, most of the people that have gone through this have sent me so many messages that are like, I've never felt safer coming into an experience where I get to explore so much of myself. Or I feel like I'm so much more of myself, because basically what we're doing is we're looking at these archetypes, but we're working with them based on your own blueprint. So a lot of times with patriarchal archetypes, we're going to be looking at them through the lens of like, how do I become that? And it's no, I already am this. I just have gates from my programming that are telling me I'm not. And how do we push down those gates one at a time and then heal that at the same time? And that's really the work that we're doing. So I'm excited to do it again myself. I'm excited to do it with a beautiful, intimate, small group of women over the next year. So we all get really close together. We learn about each other. You have a lot of individualized attention from me. You can find out all the information at the link in my bio. It's called Full Spectrum Feminine. You can do self-study or a group version. The group is going to be more supportive all around, because you get to see different angles that other women bring, which you just learn so much from, because we all see things in a very different way based on our programming and, our cultural upbringing and so many other things. So being with a group of women doing it just like adds so much to the experience. So if you want to join, we start January 1st. It's going to be so awesome. I'm really, really excited. And you can message me if you have any questions. The link is in my bio to sign up.